Hi friends, Mindy here. I have a little flip through for you today. This is my completed journal for Junk Journal January, which is hosted by Meg Journals. I did do a process video creating this journal, but I really haven't done any process videos for the prompts themselves. Specifically, mostly just because I kind of set some parameters for myself for this project. I wanted to keep it super simple because I needed to kind of ease into January. And I do really feel like having just even a few minutes every day to create art or to do something just kind of helps, keep your creative juices going. I just was really kind of feeling like I was in a slump sort of November, December time frame. And I just wanted something kind of simple that I could, kind of had no rules. And so I did set a time limit for myself. And so because of that, you'll see that there are some pages of mine in here that are really not finished. They are not marvelous works of art. I did try to stick to kind of things that were around, the things were like in my scraps and that kind of stuff, just to make it more easy for me to complete the day. And if you have 10 minutes, you don't have time to let texture paste dry and that kind of stuff. So for this process, for me, it was really just about doing something quick. But I do think that there's a lot of value in doing something like that. Working with prompts, it really just kind of helps you like make decisions faster. That was one of the things that I was really trying to focus on, is really just being more intuitive and making decisions quicker, and trying not to overthink things. If I had to like, what would happen if I did this? I just did it. And sometimes I liked it and sometimes I didn't. And that's fine. This is just for me. It was really more about just playing in a journal than it was really like creating a completed work that I'm going to want everybody to look through, although here I am sharing it with you all. So, but I do think the process is valuable. And, anytime you have like, working with prompts and challenges and that kind of stuff, it just forces you to kind of think things through in a different way. So I am going to go through the prompts really quickly and just kind of tell you sort of how I landed on what I did, and just go through it pretty quickly. I did end up adding a little bit of a closure here on the end just because it did get a little bit chunky. This is, again, just a journal made out of an envelope. And so it's nothing major, nothing serious. So I just added that because you can see it just doesn't want to stay closed. And then I just decorated the cover a little bit. On the first page of the signature, when I was creating the journal, wasn't paying attention, but this ended up being on the front page, which is, it just says a noble experiment. And I just thought that was such a cool kind of idea for the whole junk journal January prompt thing. So I just left that is my intro page. I'm not doing anything else to that. It's not one of the prompts. It's just, I really just liked having that on there. So the first prompt is resolutions, and I'm not really much for setting a lot of like new year, new resolutions. I think that you can do those kinds of things all the time. I do have, I try to be intentional. That's really the way that I look at that more. But at the same time, with this idea, the thing that came to me is really like, I want to see in my life like progress in some specific areas. And so I just wrote progress here. And then on this page, there are papers and stuff that represent different things that I want to work on personally. So no one would ever look at this page and know what my resolutions are. It's just, but these kinds of things just represent something to me specifically. So that's kind of how I approached that particular prompt. So that was day one. Day two was a quote. I included one from Elizabeth Elliot. And then I just have some scraps and paper. The quote that I included is that this hard place in which you perhaps find yourself is the very place in which God is giving you opportunity to look only to him. And that just I saw that on the internet and just has really resonated with me. And so I wanted to put that in here for day two. Day three was throwback. And so what I did with this one is I pulled out some paper that was some old By the Will for God paper. And then this was a vintage page from United States Glass Company. And I ended up covering up the date, but it was, early 1900s. And then I have a Tim Holtz Dragonfly. It's just there for some contrast. And then, of course, all of the pages that this book is created from are vintage book pages. So day 4 was Tuck Spot. So I used a piece of Tim Holtz ephemera here. And then I just have this little guy tucked in there. And in this background is just something I had printed on clear sticker paper. And so I just put that down over the entire thing. And then there's actually a Tim Holtz collage strip right here, which ended up kind of getting mostly covered up. So you can't really see what that is, but that's what's back there. Just kind of pulling the colors together that were on that day. Day 5 is daily log, and I had this piece of vintage paper. This is from a planner from 1955, and so what I did is, because it was January, I just pulled out this page and then just left it. I didn't have my personal like daily schedule or anything in there. I just really liked that vintage paper, and then a couple of ephemera pieces. Day 6 was memory, and so I included a picture of my husband and I on vacation last year, and we had such a good time, and so I included like a little page of a map and some tickets, and then a little quote. This is actually a Tim Holtz rub-on that says, "This is a happy life," and just because that was such a fun trip that we went on last year. And then day 7 is the prompt is stitched, and I just recently at Christmas got a sewing machine. If you've watched my channel before, you've probably heard me talking about it. And so I just took a piece of paper and I was like practicing stitching, like the different stitches that it could do, and I wanted to see what it did on paper and that kind of stuff. And so I included that in here. And then this is actually a little Tim Holtz flashcard, and I just liked the idea that, you know, this is one of the areas that I'm wanting to work on this year, learning how to do more with my sewing machine. And so I just put that word on there for that. Day 8 is neutral, so I just kind of kept everything together. I don't necessarily try to make my 2 pages match, but if I can kind of keep them cohesive, I do. I had in my stash, I just happened to have this, it's actually dictionary page that I had done a stencil through with some texture paste. So I didn't actually do this for this. This was just in my stash of kind of like collage fodder. And so I just pull in some random little neutral pieces in here. I really feel like this green kind of reads as a neutral. And then I have a little sticker that says wonderfully familiar, because I tend to do a lot with neutrals in my art. And so I just put that on there. This is actually a Tim Holtz sticker as well. And then day 9 was foliage, and I had this picture from a magazine, and I was looking for something else to kind of make a like a more pronounced focal image for this day, but I ended up, again, this is one of those days I just ran out of time. 10 minutes goes by really fast, so I just added a couple little stickers down here in the bottom, and that was just it for day 9. Day 10 is layered, and it was kind of funny because some of these for me kind of overlap because I'm doing the same things pretty much every single day. So I just have a bunch of different pages that have been overlapped, and I have some like brown packaging here. I have some like handmade paper back here, and then I just have this little sticker that says something mysterious, and then I have a flower that's layered over some book paper, and then these are just layered in there, and that's just kind of how I approached that subject for that day. Day 11 was eclectic, and so for me this was really fun. I just kind of went through my my little stash of papers, and I had some old jelly prints here. I had some, this is another piece of book paper where it had some paint on it already and some texture paste through it, and I just kind of pulled the circles out of each one, you know, that were in kind of each page, and tied that together. And then it just says perfectly happy, because like sometimes it's just very random things that just make me happy, and having a wide variety of textures and techniques and just different things is one of those things that I just really like. So eclectic for me is a lot of fun. That's how I kind of look at that. So day 12, again, this is torn edges, which pretty much is everything that I do in this page, in this book, because I didn't have time to be measuring and cutting and, you know, making sure everything was perfect. So more often than not, everything is just torn. But I did just include a few different things. I have some Tim Holtz paper here. This was a scrap. A couple other little scraps. I have a stamp up here for the like torn edge of that. And then I tore a little piece of fabric that was in there, and I just added that down here in the bottom just to kind of bring the blue all the way around the page. Day 13 was garden. I had this piece. This is also an old By the Will for God piece, and I had been saving it. It was a little bit bigger, but I just really loved this paper. So I pulled out this one little section of it, and then this is also a By the Will for God paper. I just kind of married the two of those together, and then I put this Tim Holtz butterfly, and I kind of offset this one just a little bit because this says Mile High Denver over here, and I grew up in Denver. I lived most of my life there, and so anytime, I just thought that was kind of serendipitous that that was there, so I wanted to make sure to leave it if I could. And then day 14 was pattern, and so for me, kind of what I did here with the background is I just tried to mix patterns. That's something that I really like to do, as well, kind of having like geometrics with florals and that kind of stuff. It's just a lot of fun, adds some interest. And then I just added a label and Tim Holtz piece of ephemera on here, just because I had a little bit of time to work on that. This isn't the exact right color, but you know, you'll like 10 minutes. It goes fast. I'm just saying. So anyway, this is pattern. Day 15 was opposites, and this one was very, very simple. So I just started with a piece of ledger paper that had some cursive handwriting on it, and I put that on my book paper because those are opposites. And then I did squares in opposite corners. I did colors in opposite colors facing to opposite ways. So I did white with black and black with white, and this is just kind of the way that my brain was working. And then, you know, by the time I had done all of that, I didn't really have much other time to work, but I did include this little quote that says reflections of each other. That's what that little sticker says. And then for day 16, the prompt for this day was flow, and that always just made me think of water. And so this is another like magazine image that I just collaged in here. And then this was actually cut out from a magazine as well, some like found words. And so I just, you know, kind of going with the flow. That's kind of what I was thinking of. And by the time I had found this paper, I was really running out of time. So it just is what it is for this day. And then on day 17, the prompt was whimsical, and I had this paper in my stash, and I really love this craft paper. It's got some cursive font in the back. It's kind of hard to see, but I just love the little whimsical city. And then I didn't want to get rid of the complete edge of this building. I just liked having the kind of the three buildings there. So you'll see I just decided I was going to leave this whole edge over here. And I ended up really liking how that sort of looks, having the layers kind of hanging out. Originally, everything in this journal was pretty, you know, all the pages were trimmed down to the same size. So I just, on this day, literally just glued down this piece of paper and a sticker, and that was it. And it just says my open heart. So that is for the prompt whimsical. Day 18 was borders, and I had this paper in my stash that had like a map on there, and I just thought that was appropriate for a border. And then I also had this border that was cut from a Tim Holtz die, but this is out of a magazine page that I had used Citrusolve on just years ago, that has been in my stash, and I just really kind of loved how that kind of lacy border looked on there. Excuse me. And then I have a little sticker down here that says the gate directed her. So that's just kind of the way that I was working through that one on borders. Day 19, the prompt was interactive, and I just had this little pocket on here that I made, and then I have my little tag here that pulls out. I have some journaling on the back of that that's just private, and then I have a sticker that says brooding revealed a deep soul. So that is for interactive. Day 20 was nature, and so I have this butterfly. This was an old piece from a Your Creative Studio ephemera piece, and then I put that over some like fiber. This is like mulberry paper that has like natural fibers and stuff in it, and I just put the sticker that says learning to fly on there. 21, this is supposed to be 21. The prompt for this day was peeking out. You'll see that I have nothing on this day. I was struggling with this prompt. I could not really just think of what I wanted to do and buy everything that I was looking for or trying to like make work. I just couldn't make anything work. So instead of kind of cheating my way through the prompt, I just left it, because sometimes that's how it is. Sometimes you just have a hard time. Sometimes you don't connect with the prompts, or you just can't, you know, you just don't want to do it or whatever. I just couldn't find anything that was really kind of doing it for me, like trying to express what I was trying to express with that prompt. So I ran out of time, and so that page is blank. 22 is bookshelf. Obviously, I don't have a bookshelf on here, but I do have this lovely lady, this ephemera piece, and she is reading a book. I love to read, and so I really wanted to just kind of have an image of a person reading. And I came across this die cut. I can't even remember where this is from. And as soon as I read through the prompts, I knew that I was going to use this. In fact, I had it like tucked in my journal from early on in the month, because I knew that I was going to use her on this page. And then down here, I have the little quote that says, "A lasting friendship." So if you love to read, you understand. That's all I'm going to say about that one. 23 is texture. This is one where I was trying to get like a variety of different types of texture. So I have some visual texture here, I have some actual texture. This is some more of that texture paste through a stencil over book page that was just in my stash whenever I'm working on a project, just whether it's my Bible journaling or art journaling or whatever, and I have extra stuff, I will do things like this so that I have basically, you know, collage fodder kind of to use. And so I have that texture, and then I have some fabric down here at the bottom that I just glued down for some additional texture. I had wanted to put a focal image on here, but by the time I got all of those found and put together, my time was up for that day. I don't even have a quote or anything on that day. Day 24 was fabric. So I have this piece. This is actually from By the Will for God, this paper, and I had the little fabric from the bow clips that they send as well. And again, just, you know, trying to learn how to use my sewing machine, doing all the things. So I used this one that kind of looks like fabric, and then I actually just sewed on some fabric here along the edge. And then by the time I got all that sorted, that my 10 minutes was up on that day as well. So I do have this sticker down here that says "The Sound of Amusement," because every time I'm using my sewing machine, it just kind of tickles me. I have been wanting one for a long time, and I'm just really excited to have it. I know that seems kind of weird, but this is my junk journal, and so that is, you know, what it means to me. So anyway, that was the prompt for day 24 for fabric. Day 25 was ombre, and this one I was a little bit on struggle bus with as well. I had this like paint chip paper that I wanted to use, excuse me, and then I had this paper from the kit last month from By the Will for God. This was like my favorite paper from that month, and so I was just trying to kind of layer everything. It didn't really turn out how I had it in my head, but I just ran out of time. And so I have just a bunch of different things layered, but I was never able to get to like the focal point part of it, which I feel like would have pulled everything together. But again, I just kind of ran out of time. So the ombre part of it is really these paint chips down here. And then on day 26, I realized the prompt was translucent. So I had already used vellum here, and I didn't want to use that same printed vellum on this side. So I actually used some tissue from Tim Holtz. And in my stash, I had a piece of like a jelly print, basically is what that is in the background. And so I just put that tissue over the jelly print, and then I added this little translucent butterfly from Tim Holtz as well on there. And that basically wrapped up everything for 26. I didn't have any other time for that day at either. Sometimes going through and trying to find all of what I have something in my mind, and it's almost more difficult when it's that way, because then you're trying to rifle through everything, instead of some days I just would pull things out that were inspiring, and I just went with that. So day 27 was lyrics, and instead of like focusing on any specific song, I did get some hymnal paper put in the background, and then I also used a rub-on from 49 in Market just to add some color really quickly. And then I have this beautiful Braille paper from a friend. I'm like saving all my little scraps of it because I love this paper so much. And he just thought like the fact that, you know, I mean, I don't know what this says, so it's probably not lyrics to a song necessarily, but just the fact that, you know, words and lyrics and whatever, that's kind of where my brain was going with this. And again, I don't have a focal point. I don't have really a finished, complete look to this page, but I do love the texture and the color on this one. Day 28, what the prompt was grungy. I had this hymnal paper in my stash that had some leftover kind of paint and stuff on it. So I just repeated, there's like some numbers right here. It's kind of hard to see, but I just repeated that onto the book paper and then added some other of the like just kind of, this was another jelly print that was done on black paper, and I just added that on there because I just really like those colors together. And that was it for there. I did add at the bottom, this says all the world is beautiful. And then for 20, what day is this? 29. This was geometric. And for some reason, whenever I think like geometric, I also think in black and white. And I know that that sounds weird, but it just is very like kind of opposite and structured in my brain. I can't explain that, but I had this very geometric paper, and then so I was kind of trying to play into all of that. So I have some striped paper down here. I know that these are not necessarily geometric, but they are, it is a repeating pattern, if that makes sense. And then I did some circles of that same paper to kind of balance that out over here. I wanted to put something right here to kind of be the bridge between these three pieces, but again, just kind of ran out of time. So I don't have a sticker or a quote or anything for this day either. That is just the page for geometric. The day 30 prompt was travel. And so I had in my stash some just pieces of one of my old kits from Simple Stories, which was the Vintage Traveler, which was one of my favorite ones actually from Simple Stories. And I just had this little piece that was actually like a journaling card, you know, the double-sided one, but it had the map on here, and I just thought that was fun. So I put the map here. I put travel more. We're actually going to be doing some traveling this year, and then this little label, and that was it for day 30. Super simple. I was really just kind of gluing down pieces of ephemera. And then day 31 is reflect. You can also see on this day that there is just a piece of paper glued down. This was actually that same By the Will for God paper from a kit several months ago. And it was like a stained glass window kind of effect. And so I put that down, and I was going to do some focal points. And again, I just ran out of time, and I could have cheated on this one since it was like the last day. But at the same time, I just wanted to, you know, kind of leave it in a way too, so that I could really reflect on what I learned about myself and about this process as I was working through Junk Journal January this month. So this kind of reminds me that, you know, it's okay for things to not be 100% the way that you want them. Sometimes things just happen, things stay unfinished, you know, and it's okay. So there were some lessons that this kind of represents, even though they don't, like, it doesn't spell it out here, but it just was a time of reflection nonetheless, because I was really trying to find a focal point, or really trying to force something to work on this page. And I just, in the end, I was like, you know what, this is going to be enough for this time. I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with Junk Journal January, and that is what I feel like is the most important part. I know that usually Meg does a Junk Journal July as well. So if you're interested in that, there will be more information obviously coming this summer. Be considering it. Again, it's always fun to work with prompts and just kind of work in a different way and challenge yourself. So anyway, I really hope that if you made it this far, thank you for watching the whole thing. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would really appreciate it if you did that. And until next time, bye.